What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off the Script. It is episode 284, part number 2 on Saturday, July 27, 2019. Tonight, folks, the biggest event of the summer, the highly anticipated event that WWE created 2 weeks ago. WWE created Smackville 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, this event was born, and it was WWE putting themselves in the beginning phases of wanting to be ready, willing, and able to counter All Elite Wrestling program whenever they want. This is the reason for Smackville. Now, I'll be watching Smackville tonight so that we could talk about it tomorrow on part 3 for this weekend. But man, WWE is wanting you to watch Smackville so badly that there's major news coming out on the dirt sheets this morning that WWE is planning not a title change, but title changes for Smackville tonight. Now, I don't know what that means for SummerSlam. I don't know how that makes SummerSlam better than it already is, or worse than it already is, I should say. But, man, do they want you to watch the show tonight because of the unpredictability factor. And, man, do they want to get it in your head. They want to program you already that the next time they do this, when AEW does have something going on, and they're ready to counter whenever they want, that you should be watching it because there's going to be a sense of unpredictability when WWE does these random live events on the network. Smackville tonight. And we all know why they are doing it. It's because there's competition, folks. Competition between All Elite Wrestling and WWE. So I got major news on that and what they're possibly thinking with these title changes and who they might be giving these titles to at the end of the evening. Also, folks, Raw. I read something very laughable this morning as far as Monday Night Raw. Apparently, they have major segments for the show already announced. And clearly, WWE is, again, another week in the fucking can where there's no changes and illogical booking on these shows. There's 2 matches on Monday Night Raw. We have 2 matches announced and what is being described as a Samoan Summit. I don't know what the fuck that means, but clearly it has to do with Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe. What type of summit is WWE going to have? Didn't they just have a town hall meeting with Shane McMahon? Yeah, that really went fucking over on SmackDown Live. Now we got a Samoan Summit on Monday Night Raw. What is going to be in this Samoan Summit that we don't already know? Samoa Joe's a loser? Yeah, I think we already know that. He might not be a loser after tonight. We'll talk about it. Also, I got follow-up news on Cody Rhodes and this CM Punk drama that apparently is now all over the dirt sheets. CM Punk says that he didn't receive a formal offer from AEW. He received an offer via text. It's not the way to conduct business. Says him and Tony Khan don't have a good working relationship, which is bullshit. Now Cody is out here thinking that CM Punk is going back to World Wrestling Entertainment. I think Cody would be a little bit smarter than that, or either that he's trolling everybody and he is really doing a bad job at it for Punk's appearance at All Out. We'll go over that, and I got breaking news, major details on the arrest of Jimmy Uso. This was actually revealed in the hours following the news of his initial arrest on a DUI. Major details on what led to Jimmy Uso being arrested. So we'll go over that right here on Off the Script, man. Thank you guys so very much for joining me here on the podcast. If you missed anything that I uploaded this week, including yesterday's show, which was a great success, we hit 20,000 views in about, I would say, 7 hours, 8 hours. It's a really good show, man. A lot of people said it was a banger of a show, a fire of an episode for Off the Script. Raw, SmackDown, NXT, you guys know the deal. If you're not subscribed, we do Raw, SmackDown, and NXT weekly every single week. These are the thumbnails to those individual shows. This is the thumbnail for Off the Script yesterday. Vince McMahon on AEW and his excuses during the WWE second quarter financials. I don't know how TNT will be able to put up with the blood and guts of All Elite Wrestling. Vince McMahon is not only senile, but he is clearly misinformed. Because Tony Khan mentioned nothing about blood and guts being on TNT with AEW's weekly show. So if you guys missed that, we talked about the financials. We talked about Jimmy Uso's arrest. I gave you a personal story of mine regarding a DUI. And we went over the Give the WWE Women a Chance hashtag that was on social media trending all week. It was actually trending worldwide on Monday night during Raw. Now, I want to make something very clear. Seen a couple of comments in the comment section on Off the Script for yesterday, and people didn't know where my argument was coming from as far as, I guess, giving a rebuttal towards the Give WWE Women a Chance hashtag. Some people were like, oh man, I agree with every word you said, blah, blah, blah. Great. I'm glad that you guys agree with me. Some people were in confusion. They didn't understand why I was ranting on the hashtag and putting down the hashtag when, in their opinion, the hashtag actually meant everything that I put in the open of Off the Script. That is not true. That is not true. The Give WWE Women a Chance hashtag is very, I would say, it's a very linear hashtag. There's no thought that went into that hashtag. The people who created that hashtag don't have brain cells to come up with everything that is wrong within the women's division and right now with the women's evolution. It's, oh, women aren't on Monday Night Raw, and that's all it was. They were complaining that women weren't on Monday Night Raw. And the hashtag that they created didn't make sense with the entirety of the women's division and the women's evolution. I don't think that people think about anything else but not seeing their favorites on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live. It's a very personal thing. Meanwhile, none of these people, they complain about one thing, but they don't put their energy towards the 101 other things that WWE isn't doing and hasn't been doing, and they focus on the most unimportant shit. That's where my stance was coming from. It's so much more than what they wanted it to be. It's not the fact that the WWE women are not on TV. It's not the fact that, oh, we're getting 3-minute matches or 90-second matches. Yeah, that's part of what they're saying, but they don't go into the detail that I go into. They don't know the real core, deep issues for this women's division, or the women's divisions on Raw and SmackDown. They don't have the brain capability to come up with all the reasons that I gave you. They're not going to make my issues a glaring issue. If they wanted to bring everything that I stated to the spotlight with this hashtag, then great, but they didn't. The only thing that they complained about was, oh, there was no women's matches on Monday Night Raw. Who cares? Who says there needs to be a women's match every week? With the amount of women that they have on the fucking roster and with the amount of women that they're actually pushing, I don't want to see any women's matches on Monday Night Raw. Because I know what I'm going to get. But what is the issue underneath all that? That's where you fail to come in and tell me. That's why I did what I did on part 1. So just to clear everything up, it is so much more than what the hashtag is. You got to dive deeper into the issues, and there's so many issues with the women's division right now that I don't think the hashtag really covered any bases whatsoever. It was like a fucking sacrifice bunt, you know? It didn't even get the run in because the pitcher took the ground ball and threw it to home plate, got the out. No runs scored. So what did you do? You sacrifice yourself for nothing. That's the way I see it. You got to go in there and you got to fucking swing a home run, drive in 3. Give me a break. You guys got to dive deeper. You got to think about what really is the issue here. I've been explaining to you what the issues are on a weekly basis, and nothing is done. Nothing is done. You may say you agree with me, but if you really want to get a hashtag going, you got to go to the right people. You got to get the right, description of what is really going on out there, and none of these people did that. None of them did that. So that's where I was coming from. You guys want to hear my rant? It's on part 1. Go and check it out. I would really, really appreciate it, along with everything else on the channel. Hit that subscribe button, man. Down below, right underneath the video, hit that subscribe button. Like I said, we are here every single week. Raw, SmackDown, NXT. This is the flagship podcast of the channel every single week. We are 284 episodes in. I love doing it. Thank you guys so very much. We cover everything in and around the WWE, including AEW, every single week. So please hit that subscribe button. And while you do that, turn on that bell for all notifications and make sure that you guys have that all notifications option turned on so you never miss a single upload. Follow me on social media at JD206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. If you guys want to support the podcast, you guys got 2 ways to do that. Number 1, patreon.com/JD206. You guys get the audio versions of everything during the week that is not available on iTunes or Spotify. So good on you guys. And if you guys want to become members of the channel, you guys get off the script early when available as well. So make sure you guys do that if you guys want to go the extra mile and support patreon.com/JD206, or you guys can simply become a member of the channel. Hit that join button, or if you guys can't find the join button, which should be right next to the subscribe button, you guys can go down into the description. It is right there for you. Click the link and you'll be on your way to support off the scripts. Make sure you guys go and check out my fine friends over at Harry's. Harry's.com/scripts. I gotta promote Harry's, man, because I could use one. I shave every single week, as I'm sure most of you guys do. The ladies could use it as well. It is perfectly fine for the ladies. But I use Harry's and have been using Harry's for over 2 years now. And when I tell you it's the best shave that I've ever had, I mean it 100%. It's the best shave that I've ever had, man. I am not the only one who thinks that. 10 million other people plus that have tried Harry's think the same thing as well, man. Over 20,000 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot alone. Join the 10 million who have tried this great product and claim your special offer today by going to harrys.com/script. Harry's were just 2 regular guys who were tired of getting ripped off and paying for overpriced gimmicks. They're like me, man. I'm tired of having Monday Night Raw being so terrible every single week that I am on here every week giving you guys the real deal on what you are watching. They did it in the shaving world. 2 regular guys tired of getting ripped off, vibrating heads, flex balls, handles that look like a prop in some cheesy, lame sci-fi movie. These are just some of the tactics that the leading brands have used to overcharge us for years. They make quality, durable blades at a fair price, just $2 per blade. And to keep prices low, they cut out the middleman, bought a world-class blade factory in Germany that's been making the best razors in the world for 99 years. And they provide great quality at factory direct prices with a 100% quality guarantee. Guys, if you don't love your shave, let them know and they will give you a full refund. JD, this sounds great. What do I got to do? Harrys.com/script. You're going to go through the sign-up process. This is what you're going to get when you sign up. A handle with an easy grip. Choice of color is yours. The orange, the navy blue, or the evergreen. 5-blade razor with a lubricating strip and a trimmer blade for a close, comfortable shave. Rich lathering shave gel that will leave you smelling great. And a travel blade cover that will keep your razor dry and easy on the go. If you're a man of business and need to travel for work, it is perfect for someone like you. Listeners of Off the Script can redeem their trial set by going to harrys.com/script. Once again, guys, harrys.com/script. Redeem your offer and let them know that JD sent you to help support Off the Script. So, how many of you realize, or I should say, how many of you even realized there was a show going on the WWE Network tonight before I even made mention of it in the beginning of Off the Script today? I would say a large number of you. How many of you realized and knew there was an event going on and you were already setting yourself up to not drop what you're doing on a Saturday night to go home and watch Smackville. We know why this is being done, folks. The WWE Network is the bread and butter for World Wrestling Entertainment. They have the ability and the resources to go live whenever they want. And this is being done tonight. This tonight is being done to counter-program AEW when they are available to do so. This is for the next show that they want to promote on a Wednesday night from a major market. Could be WWE going live at Madison Square Garden, for example, during the holiday tour. Could fall on a Wednesday. WWE knows that AEW is going to be on Wednesday on TNT from 8 to 10 p.m. Who's to say WWE doesn't have an MSG Christmas show on the network? And WWE wants to go live with it to counter-program AEW. This is the reason why this is being done tonight. And there already are reports that they could be, WWE could be giving you more than one title change tonight. Could be a title change or title changes on Smackville. That is being done because they know no one's going to go out of their way to watch this. More people will probably watch it on demand than they will live tonight on the network. They want to put it in your head. They want to program you that if you don't watch this show, then you're going to miss something newsworthy. You're going to miss breaking news. So who's to say they won't take the title off of Bayley and put it on Charlotte? Wouldn't make much sense for SummerSlam, but who's to say that they won't do that? Who's to say that they won't take the title off of Kofi Kingston and put it on Samoa Joe? Could happen. Now, it doesn't make any sense per the brand or the brand split, but who's to say? Who's to say WWE won't do that? Now, everything I mentioned as far as this Smackville special is factual. We all know why this is being done, but then they want us to believe that there's no competition between them and AEW. There absolutely is. This is just another footnote on the long list of things that WWE has done to pretty much say, without saying it, that there is competition between WWE and AEW. Of course there is. Of course there is. Now, I will be watching Smackville just simply because I am curious. Out of sheer curiosity, I want to know what the hell is going on with Smackville tonight. I want to see if they do a title change. I would not be surprised if WWE does that. Brad Shepard is also reporting today that WWE is considering a big title change or title changes tonight during Smackville. He says, and I quote, according to a source in WWE, there have been initial discussions today, that Charlotte Flair, Samoa Joe, or both could be pulling off a shock win at tonight's Smackville events. Should be interesting to see if that happens. Now, only time will tell if Kofi or Bayley end up losing their titles tonight during Smackville. But WWE has made interesting decisions in the past when they are in this type of situation. If a title change takes place, it will definitely be a hook to get viewers to tune in next time WWE throws a last-minute WWE Network special, no matter who they might or might not be running against. Now, WWE, as far as the New Day, this could kind of coincide with what's going on with the New Day right now, and it could mean a title change tonight for Kofi Kingston to a Dolph Ziggler or a Samoa Joe. WWE has experienced a bit of a drop in merchandise sales recently with the New Day. Brad Shepard is also reporting that while it isn't a significant drop, the New Day's merchandise is currently waning. According to a source in WWE, New Day merch sales have dipped for the first time in 6 months. Not a significant drop, but definitely a warning. Now, if Kofi Kingston was such a grandiose WWE champion, if he was the champion of the people, if he was somebody that the majority of the fan base wanted to see, don't you think the merchandise sales would be about even to where they have been for the New Day and possibly greater than where they have been? Kofi and the honeymoon is over. I'm not saying give the title to Dolph Ziggler or Samoa Joe. I'm just saying that it's over. It's over. And SummerSlam is when Kofi Kingston and the WWE title have their divorce papers filed. That's exactly what's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, I would be jaw-dropped, shocked in the process. Randy Orton is the perfect candidate to go to Fox for SmackDown Live on the debut episode on Fox Sports as the WWE Champion. He has the making of the perfect wrestler. You look at Randy Orton, I don't think anybody has a problem with heel Randy Orton. He's not the most entertaining entity in all of WWE, but to Vince McMahon, Randy Orton is a legend. Randy Orton is a household name. Randy Orton is on SmackDown Live. He hasn't really been a wild card in this circus, but he is a household name. And having him as the champion and the head of SmackDown Live makes perfect sense as far as that business decision goes. It's over. It's over. Kofi Kingston has been built up strong. He's had notable wins over Daniel Bryan, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, Dolph Ziggler. No matter how you look at it, the majority of those guys outside of Daniel Bryan are losers. None of them are credible. But he has major victories over a ton of guys with a ton of momentum. And honestly, it's beginning to fade. So a WWE title switch is not really out of the realm of possibility. It's not. It's definitely one of those things that you need to get ready for, because it's coming. Now, doing it to Dolph Ziggler or Samoa Joe and giving them the WWE Championship doesn't make any sense. Dolph Ziggler has done nothing to even warrant the WWE Championship, let alone look the part of a champion. He does not look the part of a champion whatsoever. So if you're thinking about taking the title off of Kofi and putting it on Dolph, I think that's a big mistake. Samoa Joe was on Monday Night Raw. Samoa Joe is a Raw superstar. I don't see how giving the WWE Championship to Samoa Joe, who's on Monday Night Raw, when Monday Night Raw has already Brock Lesnar as its own Universal Champion. It's their main championship. You can't have the WWE Championship and the Universal Championship on the same show. So I don't think that Kofi is dropping the title to either of these two clowns before Randy Orton and SummerSlam. So I think you guys are at least safe in Nashville, Tennessee tonight for Smackville. Where I'm worried is Charlotte and Bayley. Now, I'm not sure if Alexa Bliss is involved in this. I think she is. I think it's a triple threat match with Bayley, Charlotte, and Alexa. If WWE wants to drop the title and give it to Charlotte, which I would not be surprised about, I wonder how much sense that does realistically make. Bayley and Ember Moon are in your women's championship match for SmackDown at SummerSlam, something that I am very interested in, because I think Ember Moon deserves a shot. I think she deserves a shot at the championship. I think she deserves a shot to be one of the mainstays and a priority in that women's division. She's been held back for too long, and she's too good to not be utilized. Charlotte, I don't know if this is her 9th or 10th. I think it's going to be her 9th title reign or 10th title reign. I don't even know anymore. Nor do I care, because it's a laughable fucking statistic as far as Charlotte goes. I could see WWE doing that, but then where does that leave Bayley and Ember Moon? Why would you take Ember Moon's opportunity away on this worthless event? You mean to tell me that you put Ember Moon in this position to get a title shot at the second biggest pay-per-view of the year, and then you want to pull the rug out from underneath her because you want to give Charlotte a run with the championship at fucking Smackville for the unpredictability factor that the fans might tune in the next time you do something like this, or they might tune in when you go head-to-head against AEW on a random Wednesday night? You want the unpredictability factor of a title change? How does that make SummerSlam look if you give Charlotte the title? Then you're making Bayley and Ember Moon pretty much worthless. Then Charlotte's the champion, and she's going to defend the title against Trish Stratus. All but confirmed. It's Toronto. WWE went out and got another Canadian to be on that show. They gave Charlotte a bigger match than Bayley has with Ember for the championship. Of course they did. How would it make that entire card look? You go from having a legit championship match, and then you have a championship match, and on top of a dream marquee match for the women. I think that's the best selling point that you have right now. Marquee match, championship match. You can't have your marquee dream match be your championship match. That makes no sense. Because then all you have is a marquee fantasy dream match for the title. And then you got this nothing match between Bayley and Ember Moon. You should spread out your priorities and make both feel important. I don't like that decision whatsoever. I would have no title changes on this show whatsoever. Because before said and done, Charlotte's going to be the women's champion anyway. So why do it now? Why can't you wait to get your fucking dicks hard over seeing Charlotte be a 10-time champion? Don't take an opportunity away from Ember Moon for the sake of Charlotte and her worthless title reigns. And why would you do that anyway? I don't understand it. What does Charlotte being the champion mean to SmackDown Live? Nothing. Nothing. No matter who you put that title on, they're not going to take the division to the heights that you expect it to be. It's just going to be the same old shit. It's going to be the same shit you see week in and week out, no matter if Ember Moon, Bayley, Charlotte, fucking Dana Brooke could be the SmackDown Live Women's Champion. Nothing will change. Nothing. But again, who's to say WWE won't do that? Who's to say WWE won't do that because they want to set themselves up for Fox going into October? I could see WWE doing Randy Orton and Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair, Randy Orton in the highlights and the spotlight as champions on SmackDown Live before they move to Fox Sports. But it doesn't make any sense. But when was the last time WWE actually thought about logic and continuity and just what makes sense? How many times did they have what makes sense in front of them and they do the opposite and they do something that doesn't make any sense? I would not expect Charlotte to win the championship here just based out of sheer logic. But that doesn't apply to WWE. So we'll see what happens here, man. I would not be shocked to see a title change just because WWE wants you to tune in the next time that they do it, because there was no promotion for this thing whatsoever. And I can see WWE doing it for the reasons I gave you. For Fox, for the fact that logic and common sense doesn't apply to these people. I don't know. I hope that they do the right thing, and we'll see what happens. Only time will tell with this Smackville special. Only time will tell. Tonight we'll know. I doubt it's going to go the full event. I doubt it's going to be shown in its entirety. They'll probably show you these matches and these matches only. And I hope that they realize that they have Summerslam coming up and they should keep things the way that they are. And after Summerslam is when you should start planning for what you want to do and how you want to set yourself up going into Fox Sports in October. So that's my 2 cents on that. Monday Night Raw, we got 2 matches announced and a Samoan Summit. Don't know what the fuck that includes, but apparently WWE has announced Seth Rollins will be taking on Dolph Ziggler. Why? Didn't we get enough of this last year? Now we got to see it again on Monday Night Raw. For what? What the fuck does Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins have to do with one another? Now, I don't know if this is the case. But I would not be surprised if WWE puts forth Seth Rollins to have him come to the defense of Shawn Michaels, because Seth Rollins was featured with Shawn Michaels and Triple H and all of DX on the Raw Reunion. This is a shot in the fucking dark, folks. This is a shot in the dark. I don't know anything about any of this. I didn't hear this from anywhere. Who's to say WWE doesn't make their excuse as to why this match should be taking place? Because Seth Rollins was showcased next to Shawn Michaels on the Raw Reunion. And now all of a sudden he's coming to the defense of Shawn Michaels via Dolph Ziggler. So that's taking place on Monday. Man, I can't wait. Can't wait to change the fucking channel and pick up the remote control. Becky Lynch will be wrestling Alexa Bliss. I guess this is good for Alexa Bliss. At least she won't have "this is awful" chants directed at her. We might see the occasional "you can't wrestle." I want to see how many headlocks. I'm going to have a headlock counter on Monday to see how many headlocks Alexa Bliss applies and how many non-wrestling moves she does on Monday night. Alexa Bliss and Becky Lynch are wrestling. Why? Why? Is she done with SmackDown? Is she done doing her business and brewing her coffee on SmackDown Live? Now she's getting a shot at Becky Lynch. Who's to say she doesn't beat Becky Lynch and they get placed in the fucking match with Natty? Would not be surprised, because as of right now, Alexa doesn't have a match on SummerSlam. God forbid. God forbid she doesn't have a match. Guarantee you WWE is weaseling themselves into how they could get Alexa Bliss on SummerSlam. They found a way to get Charlotte on the show. Now all they have to do is get their other favorite blonde on SummerSlam. Can you imagine? Unbelievable, folks. I'll be watching this one with a nice little fucking magnifying lens. And I'll be watching Alexa Bliss closely. And then we will take that and what we learned on Monday Night Raw and apply it to the review on Monday night. I don't expect anything at all. But hey, she's in the ring with somebody that could actually wrestle, so it might not be that bad. We'll see how Alexa Bliss can dance with Becky Lynch, the Raw Women's Champion. Another very interesting segment on this show, according to WWE.com, interesting my ass, will involve Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns planning a Samoan summit on Raw. The two Samoans will meet in the ring where they will apparently hash out their differences. Let's see how successful this segment could be. I mentioned on Monday Night Raw when I did the podcast that the intensity between Reigns and Joe is definitely there. I could definitely find some interest in them standing behind two podiums and just going at it word for word and hashing out their differences. But what, realistically, are their differences with one another? Why do they now, all of a sudden, don't like each other? We haven't seen Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns since last year. So what could they possibly have on the table that is bothering each one of them individually with each other? I don't know. Could make for some entertaining television because Samoa Joe's one of the best promos in WWE, but I cannot, and I'm starting not to get behind Samoa Joe when he speaks because it means nothing in the end. It means nothing at all. Maybe Samoa Joe could bring the best out of Roman Reigns in something like this. But it goes back to what we all think and feel about Samoa Joe anyway. He's a loser. They give him these things to do, but he always ends up with an L in every situation. And I don't like that. I don't like that whatsoever. Apparently Brock Lesnar is not confirmed for the show, but local advertising is promoting that he will be in the building for Raw as well. Leave it to WWE to not promote their WWE Universal Champion and have him show up anyway. We're 2 weeks away from SummerSlam, folks. 2 weeks away from SummerSlam, and your Universal Champion is nowhere to be found on these shows to build towards a Universal Championship match. That will be the main event of SummerSlam. Get him on the show. Plain and simple. He needs to be there. Seth Rollins is not wrestling a fucking ghostly apparition found in Zach Bagan's museum. He's wrestling Brock Lesnar. I want to see Lesnar and Rollins do something. I don't give a fuck what it is. Do something to get me excited about this match, because all I see right now is a rematch from WrestleMania that I didn't give a shit about going into that show happening again going into this one. I don't care. And Rollins' stock with me is plummeting at a rapid pace. No matter what the guy does, I just don't care. I don't care. I don't care what he has to say. When he speaks, I cringe. And his entire involvement with Becky Lynch has just ruined every aspect from what I seen of Rollins. Last year to this year, completely different person, man. The relationship that got brought to public and put on TV has ruined his credibility. I don't want anything to do with him anymore. I wouldn't even give him the Universal Championship. I would not put that title back on him at all. I would leave it on Lesnar. And I don't want to see Lesnar with any championship. But if you have Seth Rollins as the only guy capable of taking down Brock Lesnar, nobody's going to give a shit. Nobody's going to give a shit. WWE gave you Rollins from WrestleMania up until Money in the Bank and up until Extreme Rules. That was it. Brock Lesnar won the Money in the Bank. We got this bullshit garbage on TV that prolonged his cash-in. Extreme Rules, seen the cash-in. From WrestleMania to Extreme Rules, WWE has not made Rollins, who supposedly is one of the best wrestlers in the world, right? Has not given Rollins a credible title reign, and absolutely nobody outside of AJ Styles has credible competition. His title reign was one that you could flush down the fucking toilet. Absolutely forgettable in every sense of the word. They did him no favors. He also did himself no favors by speaking like a fucking idiot on more than one occasion. But you throw that into the pot and mix that up, throw some little seasoning on that, you got a recipe for disaster, man. The guy has been absolutely mind-numbingly boring and cringe. I don't want to see him in any priority role on Monday Night Raw. It's over. The Rollins ship has sailed. And it's amazing how WWE has turned Rollins into the new Roman Reigns. We all dislike Seth Rollins, but not Seth Rollins the man. We don't hate Colby Lewis. Or I think that's Colby Perez, whatever. Right? We don't hate Colby, the individual. We hate the fact that WWE has made the Rollins character so god-awful coming out of WrestleMania that there is absolutely nothing that they can do to repair Seth Rollins' character. He is the new Roman Reigns. In fact, honestly, and this is very difficult for me to admit, Roman Reigns actually looks a lot better than Seth Rollins does right now, and that is pretty disgraceful. That is absolutely fucking ridiculous for me to even say. Because they're both cringe. But Roman Reigns hasn't done anything. He really hasn't done anything outside, or said anything outside of, the whole leukemia thing that was just completely shoved down our throats. Not since then has he said anything to really have me come on here and complain about him. I think the worst we've said about Roman Reigns is the fact that he should not be feuding with Shane McMahon, and all the blame got pushed onto Shane McMahon because Shane McMahon was in literally everything on these shows. Roman Reigns was just an innocent fucking bystander. I said, I don't even know why the fuck they're feuding. Why? You made him the top prospect or the top signing for SmackDown Live, which is bullshit. Why they were feuding Roman Reigns and Shane McMahon, or Roman Reigns with the McMahon family, that was not addressed whatsoever. I didn't even know all these months why they were feuding. Why? But Roman Reigns has looked, honestly, less cringe compared to Seth Rollins. And I think you guys would agree with me. Rollins right now is on another fucking level. This is the worst he personally has ever looked. Ever looked. And I was a huge Seth Rollins guy, man. What they have to do right, the only thing that they could possibly do to save this guy and his credibility is turn him heel. Seth Rollins needs to go back to the fucking heel with that khaki laugh, that fucking evil laugh of his, man. That's the Seth Rollins we need. We need to see Seth Rollins the prick, Seth Rollins the fucking manipulator. We need to see Seth Rollins of old on Monday Night Raw. Fuck this family man. I got Becky Lynch. Brock Lesnar is not a beast. He's a man, and any man can lose. Fucking blow me. Blow me! This shit sucks. Give me a fucking break with that garbage. Unreal. The fuck are you, James Ellsworth? You don't want to be compared to James Ellsworth, believe me. Rollins has been just god-awful on Monday Night Raw, and that's the only way that they could resurrect the Rollins that we know is in there. We want that Rollins to come out. Turn him heel. Turn everybody heel seems to be the fucking answer. WWE has the opportunity to do these things when it should be done, and they don't do it. Roman should have been heel. Guarantee you if Roman was heel, we wouldn't be talking about Roman in a negative manner that we always do every single week. Now we're saying the same thing about Rollins. Why? Because WWE doesn't know how to book baby faces. Rollins and Reigns are the perfect examples. Exhibit A and Exhibit B. Back to back. Reigns and Rollins. That's all the answer you need. Does WWE book baby faces the right way? The answer is no. You look right to those guys, and the answer is right there in both of them. Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes. I respect Cody. Cody's a smart individual. Cody, I wish all the success in the world with AEW. Can't wait for AEW on October 2nd. TNT from the Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. 8 p.m. I'll be there with a cold beverage. But Cody and the CM Punk drama is kind of elevating before All Out. Now, we talked about CM Punk on yesterday's show, and CM Punk was interviewed by Mark Reynaldi of ESPN. And he conducted this interview and mentioned how the Elite kind of mentions him here and there, that the Elite mentions that they've reached out to Punk to come on in and make an appearance on their shows. How Punk says that all the talks that they had, nothing really came of it. How he received an offer via text. I don't think, listen, I don't think that CM Punk received a contract offer or an offer to show up on their shows via text. Not when Tony Khan is there handing out the money. If Tony Khan is there, Tony Khan wants Punk, believe me. He said it on more than one occasion. If Tony Khan wants Punk, I don't think that Cody Rhodes, Matt and Nick and Kenny would go out there and make an offer to CM Punk via a text. I don't think that's the case. I just don't see that happening. They're executive vice presidents of All Elite Wrestling. They're not some bumbling fools who have a popular YouTube show anymore. That is still the case, but now they are in a position of power. When you hold a position of power, you're not going to send someone like Phil Brooks a fucking contract via a text message. So I don't really believe that story to be true. Now, do I think that Punk received an offer to work with them in some way? Yeah, bro, we want to talk to you. We'd love to have you. There's interest in having you aboard. Do I think things like that were said? Absolutely. Do I think that they showed him interest in having him and his brand on All Elite Wrestling's roster? Yes. Yes. But nothing was made of it. There was no legal contract. There was no money being offered via text. So Punk said, listen, you know, that they asked me to do whatever they thought was good or interesting at the time, and nothing really came of it. That's where Punk stands. Then Punk goes on to say, you know, then they go out and say, yeah, we'd love to have Punk, and how Tony Khan is out there telling everybody in the press that he's got a good relationship with me. Nothing came of anything. Now, that was the red flag for me. That was the red flag for me. Tony Khan is one of those guys that is behind Cody, Matt, Nick, and Kenny. He's not out there on YouTube. He's not out there on Twitter. He's not out there in the general public conducting day-to-day All Elite Wrestling business. He's doing all that in his own bubble. He doesn't need to be out there. This is about the Elite. All Elite Wrestling is not going to thrive on TNT because of Tony Khan. Tony Khan is going to be the final decision maker. They're all working collectively to make this thing a resounding success. And Tony Khan is there with his, whether he's righty or lefty, signing the fucking checks. Simple as that. There's nothing more that Tony Khan is going to do outside of what he's done. He'll make an appearance, which I love. I wish Vince McMahon would do the same thing. He's out there after Double or Nothing. He's out there after Fyter Fest. He's out there after Fight for the Fallen. He's out there for everything that happens after All Out. Which he will be. Because it's going to be the biggest show of the year. He's out there and he gives you the answers that he can give you at the time. I don't think Tony Khan is going to be out there and bullshit anybody about his relationship with CM Punk. Guarantee you that Tony Khan has personally talked to CM Punk. Guarantee you. They're not going to tell you that. You'll find that nowhere in the dirt sheets. But I know, if I'm a betting man, that happened. He's talked to Goldberg. He's talked to Batista. He's talked to Jericho. He's talked to every big-name free agent out there that could potentially make a difference in this war with WWE. And Punk is the only man that could potentially be the cherry on top of the cake in this war with WWE. Punk is not going back to WWE. I am not anticipating Punk going back to WWE, because that's not who Phil Brooks is. But I also don't think that CM Punk is telling the truth when he says he doesn't have a good relationship with Tony Khan. That was the biggest red flag for me, and one in which it kind of set a light bulb off in my head. I think they're trying to troll everybody. I think CM Punk is trying to downplay everything here about All Out and his involvement with AEW in the best CM Punk way possible, by being a dick. That's exactly what I think. I made a prediction months ago, and I stand by that. I could be wrong. More than likely, I will be wrong. But I made a prediction nonetheless. Do I think CM Punk is going to be at All Out? Yes. Do I think CM Punk has spoken to Tony Khan? Yes. Do I think CM Punk received a money offer from Tony Khan? Yes. It's all on Phil Brooks. If he's going to take it, show up at All Out, or not, and continue doing his MMA stuff. But all I know is CM Punk has complained that his wife is doing whatever she's got to do, and he loves commentating for the MMA, and he hates that he has so much time off in between shows. He sits at home and he drives himself crazy because he loves it so much. I think, as far as him saying that, now I could be wrong, that he wants something to fill that void. And there's no better way to fill that void than your one true love. Something that got you to where you are today. By working with like-minded people who know who you are and respect what you bring to the table and respect you as a human being. I think it's time for Punk to get back to wrestling. And I honestly think he's downplaying all this shit by being the best CM Punk he can be. This is the most we've heard of CM Punk in the public since he left WWE. Or since his last two failures in the Octagon. This is now where CM Punk is now. His name value is getting up there. His name is in a lot of people's mouths. So those were red flags to me. Cody goes on social media and does a random Q&A. Rhodes was asked if he would ask Punk to sign an AEW contract in person. Earlier this week, Punk told ESPN he received an offer from AEW, but it was via text message. I don't believe that whatsoever. Rhodes said on Twitter that he thought Punk was misquoted because someone from AEW met with Punk in person. Who was going to meet with CM Punk to talk about money? Who? It's not going to be Matt. It's not going to be Nick. It's not going to be Kenny. It's not going to be Cody. They don't sign the checks. They don't offer the money. The money's coming from Tony. Tony met with Phil Brooks. Rhodes says he did text Punk when they were not able to connect by phone, but a contracted offer was not presented via text. Rhodes put over Punk as a great guy and said the door is open, but added he wouldn't be surprised if Punk went back to WWE. Really? So first we got CM Punk telling everybody that he doesn't have a good relationship with Tony Khan, that he received the contract via text, which he didn't. Then we got Cody Rhodes saying that Punk met with somebody in person about a contract. He didn't receive a contract via text. And then he goes on to say, yeah, I think Punk is a great guy. The door is open, but I think he's going back to the WWE. Are you fucking kidding me? Man, that's the worst troll job I think I've ever seen by anybody in regards to CM Punk. Of course, never say never in the world of pro wrestling, but no one expects Punk back in the WWE, even if that was meant to be taken as a joke. I honestly think Cody is trolling everybody when he said that. And people are taking him to be serious. Now, Rhodes, like I said, could be trolling with his tweets, or he could be genuine. I don't know. I really don't know. One thing is for sure, This tweet is clearly going to fuel, and has fueled already, speculation of Punk making a surprise appearance at All Out in Chicago. If Punk has signed the new deal, or if he signs a deal sometime before All Out, you can bet it will be closely guarded and a huge top secret, Area 51 secret. So don't expect any leaks at all. This is why he's shown up at All Out, folks, or at StarCast for All Out, in correlation to All Out. If Punk was not at StarCast, then they would never hear the end of it. But now Punk is in the public eye. It's a lot easier to see Punk in the public eye and downplay everything compared to if Punk wasn't there. You really can't downplay it. You really can't downplay it. Punk being in the public eye is easier to digest because if he's showing up at StarCast, it's easy for anybody to say he's not going to All Out, he's not a part of AEW. So by that and him being there, I think they're honestly trying to fan the flames, and they're trying to present something that, might come off as not a big deal, but it might end up being a big deal anyway. So Cody Rhodes recently also held a Twitter Q&A where he mentioned, in the same vein here, where someone asked him why AEW decided to do Washington, D.C. for their first show, and Cody said this, and it was a simple answer. Big and beautiful arena, nation's capital. I did some research on the Capital One Arena. Over 20,000 seats in that arena. I don't know what they're going to do with the stage and setup for that show. You could be looking at 16. I don't think AEW is going to fit 16,000 in the arena, but stranger things have happened. Fans are crazy. And there's enough time in between All Out and the debut TV show where fans all over might make this a destination event on Wednesday. Wednesday might seem like a little bit more of a difficult thing in the middle of a work week, but these wrestling fans are crazy, man. They want to be a part of history. So I don't know if running a huge venue like that is the right thing for AEW. I thought they were going to go smaller, maybe 7,000, 8,000 seats, something like that, 5,000, 6,000 seats. Sell it out, looks great. Hot, rowdy crowd. Electric crowd there for the debut show. Now I feel like they're potentially setting themselves up for not selling out, and then people are going to criticize them for it. Oh, look, AEW, the first TV show, and look how many empty seats they got. God forbid. I just hope they know what they're doing. Because that is a huge risk to take for a brand that's only had, you had All In. I guess you could count All In. Then you had Double or Nothing. Then you had Fyter Fest, Fight for the Fallen, and then All Out. It's a good way to gauge the interest in the brand, but on a week-to-week TV series, I would say start small, build momentum, give fans a product that they don't want to miss, and then start to go up there and get the bigger venues. Baby steps first, but I guess they're going all in. They're going Double or Nothing, I guess. I don't know what's going on, but I would have did it the other way. Build momentum, put out a product first, build consistency, and then explore bigger venues when you have that dedicated fan base that is going to tune in every single week, and dedicated fan base that is going to come out and watch you every single week. Guys, we talked about the arrest of Jimmy Uso, and I gave you my stance on it. I gave you my opinion on it. I even gave you my own little personal story to coincide with that. Obviously, he's got issues. Obviously, he needs help. WWE's got a wellness program. They should be administering that wellness program to Jimmy Uso. He could be potentially ruining his status in the WWE, his career, his marriage. It's just a bad situation right now, to a point where I'm hearing that the Usos are going to take a break after SummerSlam, and WWE has already presented them as far as the number one contenders for the Tag Team Championships on Monday Night Raw. There was also rumors of the Usos and Ricochet teaming up against the OC, Stiles, Gallows, and Anderson. But there were major details that were released in regards to Jimmy Uso's arrest outside of Pensacola, Florida. ABC3 WEAR-TV reports that a complaint about a possible DUI came in around 1:30 a.m. on Thursday morning. An off-duty officer advised a deputy that there was a car traveling over 100 miles per hour as it drifted between lanes. It was said that the vehicle pulled in at the Ticket Sports Bar, but then the deputy showed up. Uso's car was already gone. While sitting in a Publix, the deputy then observed a car accelerating rapidly, and he clocked the vehicle doing 86 miles per hour in a 45-mile-per-hour zone while traveling close to other cars. This is when Uso was pulled over. The report indicates that Jimmy had trouble holding his driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance when the officer requested him to do so. Uso was also reportedly slurring during his speech, had bloodshot, watery eyes, dilated pupils, and eyelids were labeled as droopy. The officer could smell alcohol in the car, and he requested that Jimmy step out of the car to speak with him. After several requests to step out of the car, Uso finally complied. However, he reportedly had trouble standing on his feet. This is when the officer asked Jimmy Uso if he would ride with him to a nearby flat, well-lit parking lot for a sobriety test. Jimmy Uso did ride with the deputy to the parking lot, but then he seemed to be confused and asked what was going on. The officer revealed that Uso would need to take a field sobriety test, to which Jimmy asked if he needed a lawyer and whether he was being detained. The officer revealed that it was not possible to have a lawyer present at the time, and he was going to conduct a field sobriety test. Then Uso reportedly took his phone from his pocket and attempted to put his phone towards the deputy's face. No reason was given here as to why that was done, but I don't think reaching into your pockets while you're being detained by a police officer is such a good idea. At that time, Uso was placed in handcuffs and he became uncooperative, and he had to be told numerous times to have a seat in the patrol car. Jimmy Uso reportedly kept saying that he was uncomfortable and asked to speak with another deputy several times. The report also revealed that on the way to the jail, the officer needed to roll down his windows to let the car air out due to the overwhelming smell of alcohol coming from Jimmy Uso. It's a very sad situation, folks. I don't know who he was with. I don't know if he was with his brother. I don't know if he was with his wife. None of that was labeled here in this report, but like I mentioned, man, this is a depressing story. Jimmy Uso, you know, some of you guys actually tweeted at me and you put in the comment section that, you know, it's not really a case of him being a murderer, but he should be labeled as a potential murderer. Because there's more than one occasion in which he has done this and gotten caught for it, and he's been let off the hook. I don't know what WWE is going to do about this. All I know is that, and I mentioned this yesterday, WWE has put out a public statement that Jimmy Uso, same thing with Jeff Hardy, they did the same thing with Jeff Hardy a couple weeks ago when he was arrested for public intoxication, that these men are responsible for their own actions. It is no longer up to WWE to post statements like that publicly. It's no longer Jimmy Uso is responsible for his own actions, because clearly he can't handle his own actions. Neither can his wife or his brother. Jeff Hardy, I hope, is not slipping down that same slippery slope that we know he was down several years ago. WWE cannot be sending out statements like that. Jimmy Uso is not responsible for his actions anymore. Now WWE has to make it their priority to take responsibility for Jimmy Uso's actions. Because if they don't, Jimmy Uso is going to end up dead somewhere, and then we're going to be reliving the greatest highlights of the Usos' career. And then be crying over the fact that this guy killed himself because of his demons. Get him help. I don't care what you have to do. Get him help. He needs to know that what he is doing is not only destructive to himself, but destructive to everybody else around him, including the people that he shares the road with. I don't want to hear anybody being killed because of this man's stupidity. How many times can one get away with drunkenness behind the wheel? They jail you for a very long time because of shit like this. This is not a joke. Licenses forever suspended. Should not be behind the wheel. Should not have been behind the wheel during this instance. Don't give a shit where you are. Tampa to Miami. Raw to SmackDown. Tampa on Monday. Miami on Tuesday. It is a 2-hour plus drive from Tampa to Miami. You just signed a 5-year deal making all this money, all the money you blew on fucking liquor could have went towards an Uber to fucking save not only you and your standing with the company, but could have saved a fucking life, including your own. Irresponsibility. Jimmy Uso's responsible for his own actions. I don't even think he knows what that means anymore. WWE now is responsible for Jimmy Uso's actions. And if they don't step in, we're going to be reading his name in the obituary sooner rather than later. Cut the shit. Get this guy help. This is depressing and actually sad to be listening to and reading. Me reading this and telling it to you. Fucking embarrassing. Moving on, man. WWE apparently is changing producers' responsibilities moving forward backstage. I like this. I love this. Now, it is being reported by PW Insider that backstage producers in WWE used to shift back and forth between Raw and SmackDown, SmackDown to Raw. That's not happening anymore. Now they will be assigned to one particular show, according to Mike Johnson of PW Insider. It is reported that they are doing this because there were times when producers were on the road for live events, and then they were sent home because they weren't needed until television. Now producers will work one specific loop and be permanent to their assigned brand. I love it. This could be a big change for certain producers, but at least they will get to remain on the same brand. It will be interesting to see how matches and segments on SmackDown and Raw reflect those producers assigned to those shows as things continue. I've said it with the hires of Bischoff and Paul Heyman. These brands need to be individual from one another. They need to be distant fucking relatives. Raw should have nothing to do with SmackDown, and SmackDown should have nothing to do with Raw. Their own identities from every aspect possible. Talent, producers, coaches, commentators. Everything about these shows needs to be different. Look, camera angles, stages, feel, everything needs to be different. This, I hope, is a change in that direction. Not only does this make the travel for them good, because I'm sure Raw travels with Raw and SmackDown travels with SmackDown, outside of who they want as the wild card. They, right now, have a difficult time because nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody knows where they are. Nobody knows what brands are assigned to. They're making the full rounds. If you don't have to be at Raw, then you should not have to be at Raw. If you don't have to be on SmackDown or at SmackDown, you shouldn't have to be on SmackDown. So what this does is it lessens the travel time a little bit, but any little bit helps. And the most important aspect of this is if you have the same people on SmackDown producing matches on Raw and the same people on Raw producing the matches on SmackDown, everything's going to have a certain sameness to it. If you have dedicated producers and agents to one brand and dedicated producers and agents to the other, things will feel and look different. I don't want Tyson Kidd to be producing matches on Raw and then doing the same thing on SmackDown. How many ideas are going to get recycled if that's the case? Now, if Tyson Kidd is on SmackDown only and you have Gregory Helms doing one show, Tyson Kidd doing another, Abyss doing one show, Jeff Jarrett doing another, whomever they got back there. Dedicated brands are going to yield different results, different feel, and different matches. You're not going to see the same shit happen on Monday that you've seen on Tuesday. Unless they just blatantly watch and then copy the ideas and say, oh, hey, we could do this on Tuesday. We've seen it on Monday. No. This is why it's so important to have dedicated rosters. I don't want to see Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins be produced by somebody on Raw and then see Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler be produced again by somebody on SmackDown Live. Doesn't work that way. Because it defeats the purpose. Yeah, the producers have their own show, but the talent doesn't. But we're going to end up seeing the same shit anyway when they both have the same producers and they're going to give me the same fucking match. It defeats the purpose. You need to have dedicated rosters with their own dedicated agents and producers, and then you will know and feel the difference in what they are trying to do. This is a hopeful change in the right direction. So I love this. I think this is great. This is great as well because out with the old, in with the new. WWE fires 2 longtime writers for Raw and SmackDown. Pro Wrestling Sheet is reporting that SmackDown co-lead writer, I should say, Steve Gureri, and Raw lead writer Stephen Oppenheim. So I think somebody should be out of fucking Hagrid's forest in Harry Potter. Steve Oppenheim were let go last week. Both had been with WWE since 2011 and 2012, respectively, which are impressive tenures with the company. Oppenheim also worked in WWE's headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut. These two terminations were reportedly not involving Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff at all. It was reported that Bischoff didn't even start with the company until this week, which we will talk about tomorrow on part 3. Good. I don't know these guys from a hole in the wall, but out with the old, in with the new. If it doesn't have anything to do with Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff, this may go under the initiative of changing the old guard and moving in a new direction. I can't hate on that. Good. Now, the shows might not change at all, even with their firings, but it's better to have them away and the old guard out instead of them remaining there and the shows still have a certain sameness to them. I like change. I don't want to see anybody get fired, but clearly the shows were not doing well and they were not producing quality content, so where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? You're going to go right under who Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff are overseeing. The lead writers? There you go. Gone. I like it. Fresh start, new direction, out with the old, in with the new. Raw Reunion here. Couple of notes on that. Apparently, it was reported that the Raw Reunion had a refreshing vibe backstage. It must have been all that Stone Cold, Broken Skull IPA flowing backstage. Maybe Jimmy Uso had a little bit too much of that. Russell Volch reports that backstage in the atmosphere during Raw Reunion had a refreshing vibe, which was a welcome change from previous weeks. It seems that the legends who returned for the show were very appreciative for the invitation as well. Sources say backstage at TV this week, there was an overall great feeling, almost like a refreshing vibe. The attitude and demeanor of the legends at Raw was that of appreciation. This is a change from recent weeks, which can only be considered a good thing. Folks, this is a bullshit report. Fine. If there was a great backstage atmosphere, fine. You know what I consider this? I consider this when you were younger and your mom didn't want you to have candy, right? Right before dinner. You know, it's gonna ruin your appetite, right? So what do? You go visit grandma, and then on that visit to grandma's gonna be so loving and so giving, and you can have candy, have whatever you want before dinner, whatever, You could get away with certain stuff with grandma that you can't get away with your mother and your father. I was there. You were there. I am sure of it. We got very easy outs when we went over grandma's house. This was that easy out. Of course it was going to be a refreshing vibe. The vibe backstage at Monday Night Raw, I'm sure, is a cancerous environment. So having all the legends back there, I'm sure everybody was on their best behavior. I'm sure all management was so nice and they were so appreciative of the legends being there. Of course it was an easygoing, refreshing atmosphere. Because it was an atmosphere that was not normal from Monday Night Raw. Now that the superstars are done visiting grandma's house, now they gotta answer to mom and dad. What do you think it's gonna be next week? Back to the same old bullshit. Get to your room, do your homework, no TV until I check everything is done. Simple. So I don't give a fuck if it was a refreshing vibe. It was one that lasts 1 week. Moving on. Speaking of Stone Cold's beer, Stone Cold's beer was in demand after Raw Reunion. Now, the El Segundo Brewing Company, the makers of Stone Cold's Broken Skull IPA, posted on Facebook to reveal that they have been flooded with requests from fans about the beer. The bad news for those fans is that Austin's beer is only available in Southern California and at times in Portland, Oregon. The good news is that they are working on new distribution plans, so even more fans will be able to drink like Stone Cold. So, it is said that they posted on Facebook, we've received hundreds, if not thousands of inquiries as to where we can find the Broken Skull IPA. Currently, Broken Skull is only available in Southern California and sometimes Portland, Oregon, roughly in the vicinity of the Broken Skulls on the map. which I guess they have a map on their website. The good news is that we're working on distribution plans to reach the masses. If you are a prospective distributor, please send us an email at rob@elsegundobrewing.com. End quote. When you can show up on WWE television when any product is going to harbor, it's going to drive interest and harbor interest from the fans. As it turns out, the product, in this case, was Stone Cold's beer, which was endorsed by Stone Cold Steve Austin, so people clearly want to know what he has been getting himself into after being away from wrestling for so long. The beer is good. I'm not an IPA guy whatsoever. Not at all. I fucking loathe IPAs. But this was a good IPA. It was light. It wasn't too IPA-ish. And if you guys know IPAs, it's very hoppy. It's very just weedy. You know, I don't like that whatsoever. But this one was very smooth. It wasn't overpowering as far as an IPA taste. Would I recommend it? Yes, I would. But I'm not going to recommend it to someone who, you know, wants to drink beer. I would not recommend it for first-time beer. If you're an IPA guy, I would say go for it. It's not something that I would go to or make it my go-to on a regular basis because I don't like IPAs. But was it a good one-time taste? Absolutely. I think you guys should try it. And if you can get your hands on it, it's worth it. And the bottle is fucking awesome. So I got it. I got to keep it. One of you guys actually sent it to me. And I love the fact that we got Stone Cold beer in the collection. And it's great, man. So thank you guys so very much for that. And again, if you can find it, if you're in Southern California, try it. It's worth a shot. Spend the $10 to $12 on the bottle. Comes in a big 750 milliliter bottle. Again, if you're an IPA guy, I absolutely think it's worth the price for it alone, just for the bottle. So there you go. Guys, I'm going to take a little bit of a break, get some water in me, but I want to shout out my boy Sal Rex, as always. With nearly a decade of graphic experience, he's taking his freelance full-time. It's open to work with anybody in need of his services. Prices are lower than Fiverr, so if you guys are finding him on Fiverr, or finding anybody like him, I should say, on Fiverr, please don't. Please don't. Sal Rex is only a DM away. He's going to produce better results, no question. Logos, banners, flyers, thumbnails, album covers, mixtapes, t-shirt designs, which he is working with me on right now for a couple of new t-shirts for my store, YouTube channel revamps, etc. He's done it all. Works with Off the Script, obviously. You can see the new layout here. Beautiful. House of Glory. He works with the Solid Monster on the Solid Monster Sounds Off, and other brands in the community. He's done it all, only a DM away. Reach out to him. His DMs are open. SRXGFX on Twitter. Don't let your YouTube channel look like shit. Hire Sal Rex. Best prices available. Best quality available. And I will say this. Before I go to my little break here and get me some fucking water because it's fucking hot. I'm dying. If you guys are an imitation and a ripoff of what I do here, and you reach out to him and you want to take that podcast to the next JD level, listen, motherfucker, there's only one JD. So I'm sure that some of you know who I'm talking about. If they reached out to him, that's an easy decline, bro. It's an easy decline. He doesn't need cheap imitations. He only wants to work with original content creators. So there you go. Hire Sal Rex, man. DM away. SRX, GFX. Good to go on that. Show him your support, as we always do, right here on Off the Script. One person who was not at the Raw reunion was Jim Ross, even though he did have his blessing from Tony Khan. And I know if Jim wanted to be there, Tony was definitely one of those guys that was not going to say no. He's a big wrestling fan. Tony Khan is a huge wrestling fan. He grew up with Jim Ross and Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Attitude Era. He knows how important Jim Ross was to that specific era of pro wrestling. So why would he deny him to go back and hang out with all his old friends and just mingle with everybody that he used to work with during the Attitude Era? But Jim Ross did not make the Raw reunion, and he actually spoke about this on Grilling JR. And he explained that it had nothing to do with AEW's wishes. In fact, he didn't return to WWE because he just didn't want a certain segment of the IWC thinking that there was already trouble between him and AEW. He says this, and I quote, "Well, it wasn't in anger that I refused or turned it down. I appreciate the opportunity to come back to Tampa to see all my buddies and so forth. There's a couple of things that led to this decision, and the main thing for me was if I had gone there, there would be a certain segment of the social media society that would have said, uh-oh, there's trouble in paradise. JR is looking to bail already. He's already back with the WWE. Something's wrong with AEW. End quote. Can't blame him. I think that's a beautiful way to look at it. He saved his own mind by having to deal with the fucking stupidity that would have been shown and showcased on social media. I love that. And even though he would have loved to be there, and I know he would have, he wanted to remain loyal to AEW. He's got a new career path. He's got a new venture. He's got a new responsibility. And that loyalty and dedication is very hard to come by, especially in the wrestling business. Having JR tell you that he was asked, he turned it down, and for the reasons that he gave you, I think that's a commendable way to look at it. And I don't blame Jim Ross whatsoever, because after watching the show, after the fact, I'm sure he's thinking to himself, man, I made the right decision. What the fuck was I going to go there for? It would have been a complete waste of time. You know? So I'm glad he made the right decision, which, looking back at it, absolutely was the right decision. Street Profits. They've been on Monday Night Raw for a couple weeks now. Does WWE have any plans to use the Street Profits on Monday Night Raw? Well, the Wrestling Observer newsletter noted that despite appearing on the show every week, WWE has no plans to use the Street Profits to actually wrestle a TV match. Yet, they are still the NXT Tag Team Champions, which is great advertisement for NXT. I don't really see them saying anything about the NXT Tag Team titles. I don't see WWE mentioning that they're the NXT Tag Team Champions. You know, they're wearing the titles, but what good is wearing the titles if you're not talking about what's going on with said titles in NXT? At this point, at least for now, there are no plans for the Street Profits, says Meltzer, to do anything but what they are doing now, meaning no plans for them to wrestle anytime right now on Raw. But wearing the NXT Tag Team titles in all their segments, while this is not the main reason they're on the show, it is considered an advertisement for NXT, and that if you like them and want to see them, that NXT is where you could see them wrestle. End quote. Fans are surely getting interested in the Street Profits. Listen, I hope so. I hope that fans are becoming interested in the Street Profits because they have a lot of charisma. They have a lot of in-ring ability. I think they're a great tag team. I think they are a tag team that is very, charismatic in the ring, easy to associate with. They are easy to get behind. They're very flashy. And they're not like any of these other teams, man. They have character. There's a lot there underneath the good tag team action that they provide, and there's a lot there, a lot more than what Montez Ford usually does that he's known for. But I do see them being on Monday Night Raw because I don't see them getting past the Undisputed Era at TakeOver. It would have been an opportunity to get the titles on the Street Profits, which they did. I'm glad. I don't want the Street Profits to go into NXT and be one of those teams that didn't win the big one. Heavy Machinery didn't win the big one. Enzo and Cass didn't win the big one. I didn't want them to end up like those teams. They were too good to not win the Tag Team Championships. They are the Tag Team Champions now, but they got a few notable wins under their belt. They beat the Forgotten Sons, which doesn't really amount to anything much, really. They beat Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, and now they have the Undisputed Era. And with Adam Cole going on and on and on about the Undisputed Era and their prophecy of holding all the gold in NXT, it kind of makes sense how the Street Profits, while their NXT Tag Team Champions, are getting their faces on Monday Night Raw and getting that audience familiar with who they are and getting that audience familiar with their character, while the NXT Tag Team Champions, and here they are in the middle of Adam Cole's prophecy, set to lose the Tag Team Championships. So it's going to be an easy transition. Tag Team Champions lose to the Undisputed Era. They have one-third of the prophecy there. Two members of the Undisputed Era, two entities in the Undisputed Era would have championships, Cole and then O'Reilly and Fish. And then you got, three of the four, I should say. I can't even do fucking math. I'm so fucking hot. You got Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly, 3/4 of the Undisputed Era. Then you got Roderick Strong, who right now is in the middle of a North American Championship feud with Velveteen Dream, and now you got Pete Dunne involved. And the reason why they added Pete Dunne, I'm sure, is to get Roderick Strong the victory, but not by pinning Dream, because they want to protect Dream, but Pete Dunne could take that pinfall and it not mean anything. Pete Dunne is right. honestly, if you look at Pete Dunne, he's fucking untouchable. Nobody's going to really blame Pete Dunne in a triple threat match. It's going to look worse if Velveteen Dream is pinned than it is Pete Dunne. So by the end of the night, the Undisputed Era could be champions all over NXT. And then Street Profits dropping those titles to O'Reilly and Fish. Easy transition to Monday Night Raw because they've already been on the show. People know who they are. And they're going to take that and what they've built with the audience into the ring. And then people are going to like them even more. It makes sense. And I hope that they don't fall to the wayside like every other fucking team does in WWE. But with the Usos, and this is another thing, with the Usos possibly taking a break, Street Profits could come in there and fill that role. They're just as charismatic as the Usos. So it might be an easy transition. So we'll see what happens, man. Another thing I wanted to mention about Adam Cole, which I don't know why I forgot to mention this on the NXT review. Johnny Gargano mentioned that his stipulation for the 2 out of 3 falls match was going to be a street fight for his fall. And I failed to mention that Adam Cole mentioned in his promo that he doesn't need a stipulation to beat Johnny because he beat Johnny in a regular match last time they were in the ring. So I choose no stipulation. I choose a good old-fashioned one-on-one wrestling match, which I thought was fucking brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And it's not a matter of if, when it does go to a third fall, that's when we'll get William Regal involved, and it could be a ladder match. A ladder match for the NXT title at the end of that show in Toronto. Can't be any type of a steel cage match, you know. Because if you see the steel cage hanging above the ring, then you kind of know what the fuck's going on because there's no other steel cage match advertised for the show. I'd love to see a third and deciding fall in a ladder match. I think that would be something phenomenal. And I wanted to mention that on Wednesday, but I failed to. The fact that he said that he doesn't need a stipulation is fucking brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. That is a babyface tactic that Adam Cole used as a heel. You gotta love it. You got to love it, man. I love the fact that he didn't choose a stipulation in his match with Johnny Gargano for the NXT Championship. But yeah, the Street Profits, I could easily see them taking the spots of the Usos until the Usos come back. And when Jimmy squares out his differences there with alcohol, you know, I can see the Street Profits taking over the Usos spot as that team on Monday Night Raw. WWE could be revealing interesting merchandise for Raw and Smackdown. I love it. Again, another way to kind of make the brands separate and give them their own identities. The Wrestling Observer newsletter notes that along with getting their respective brands ready for television, Bischoff and Heyman will also have other responsibilities. One of those tasks includes coming up with new merchandise ideas. Bischoff and Heyman are also responsible for merchandise ideas for their respective brands, media, and publicity. End quote. This could be an interesting change of pace because not only has it been known, it's not been known before who comes up with WWE's merchandising ideas. Everything is approved by Vince McMahon in the end, but it looks like Heyman and Bischoff are now in the position to come up with new merchandise for the superstars as well. I love that. I think that's great, man. More eyes and another vision on top of what they see could translate into something that those guys see that doesn't kind of resonate with somebody else, and it could make for good merchandise. I would love WWE to get new merchandise because I don't buy any of their shit. And the only shirt that I'm even contemplating buying is the new Bray Wyatt Yowie Wowie t-shirt with his demon face on, or his fiend face on it, I should say. But WWE even has a custom print shop capable of coming out with new merchandise with surprisingly fast turnaround. Perhaps they are able to test their print shop abilities soon with this new merchandise that comes from Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff. I love it. Instead of the regular, bland, boring shit that WWE usually pushes out with no creativity, I love to see what the creative minds of Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff come up with, being that they're in that role for these guys and for these shows. And it's a great way to separate the brands and give them their own identity. While right now, everything feels like it's just that same thing under the same umbrella. I want separate brands with their own identity, man. I can't tell you how important this is with this move, especially with WWE moving to Fox and then Raw having their new deal with NBC Universal. WWE is rumored to have one match take place at SummerSlam, and now I'm hearing that match is not taking place. Big rumored SummerSlam match not taking place. Stiles, Anderson, and Gallows are calling themselves the OC, and however, even before this report. However, they were mentioned in a report last week that they were going to go in a 6-man tag team direction against Ricochet and the Usos. They were also talking about the club, or the former club, I should say, not facing the New Day. And now that apparently is not taking place either. Ricochet versus AJ Styles on a big stage is still the match that WWE's leaning towards. Hopefully WWE allows these two to go out there and put on a great match in Toronto. If WWE books Styles and Ricochet for SummerSlam, ladder match U.S. title. I've said this once. I'm going to say it again every single week until we get to SummerSlam. You want to make SummerSlam the best event of the weekend? That could be a match that kind of catapults WWE to do that. I honestly think Styles and Ricochet in a ladder match would be fantastic for not only SummerSlam, but for both guys and their stock and the U.S. title. Not only does it put a spotlight on Ricochet to show everybody what he can do in his best area of expertise, but it puts a spotlight on the United States Championship that it hasn't had in a very long time. So I'm not interested in a 6-man tag. I'm not interested in the club versus the New Day. I'm not. Those are garbage matches. But Styles and Ricochet in a ladder match, SummerSlam needs to be the best show of the weekend. WWE needs to do that in order for that to become a reality. That's just me. Finally, guys, I'm getting out of here. Something that I really don't agree with. Something that I don't really understand because WWE has done everything to kill him. Finn Balor feels, or WWE rather, feels Finn Balor is not marketable. Finn Balor recently dropped the WWE IC title to Shinsuke Nakamura right now, and he's just in a state of kind of limbo. He's going to SummerSlam against Bray Wyatt, but that's the only thing that he's got going on, and then after that he's taking a hiatus. There was some thought that he would be working SummerSlam, and he is. He's going to be working SummerSlam against Bray Wyatt. But there are reports that WWE are kind of feeling that the push of Balor's Demon King character is better, and that Balor the man, his own persona without the makeup, is not marketable. Apparently, the thought is there that Balor isn't a draw on his own, which is why such nicknames and lengths need to be taken that contribute to his character on screen. Now, this source says, and I quote, "The feeling I get is that the Demon King is viewed as marketable, but the ordinary Finn Balor isn't. That's why they keep trying to force nicknames and gimmicks onto him." WWE source. This is an anonymous source, by the way. This was in the newsfeed, but I was surprised to be reading this. Now, I don't understand. I don't know why. What do they say about Finn Balor? He's an ordinary man that does extraordinary things, or some shit like that. It's kind of a knock on Finn Balor, the man. He's an ordinary man, meaning that there's nothing special about him, but he does extraordinary things in the ring. That's such a misnomer. You know, if you wanted to get behind Finn Balor, and you wanted to make him marketable, you would be presenting him on TV, and you would be utilizing the demon gimmick, which is marketable in itself. You're making Finn Balor not marketable by not marketing him to his strengths. And his strengths are the demon. How many times have we seen the demon on WWE television? We've seen the demon against Finn Balor. We've seen Finn Balor against Baron Corbin. Bobby Lashley. Right? Seen the demon against AJ Styles. How many times? How long has Finn Balor been on the main roster? Since 2016, right? It's been 3 years. And we've seen the demon 3 times. Meanwhile, every takeover, while that man was NXT champion, he came out as the demon. Why did NXT market the demon and Finn Balor the right way, and WWE can't seem to fucking buy a clue as to how to market Finn Balor? It's because they don't want to market Finn Balor. Simple. For someone in WWE, that's easy. It was done. Now it's not. Somebody on Monday Night Raw clearly doesn't like Finn Balor or doesn't find anything interesting in Finn Balor. That's why there's no focus on Finn Balor, and that's why they haven't presented the demon more than they should have. Or put Finn Balor in a position to feel important so he could bring out the demon and be marketable. How you don't have enough marketing behind the demon and merchandise to coincide with that is outlandish. Get your shit straight, WWE. You got a winner in Finn Balor, and a marketable one at that. And here you are, killing everything that NXT did with Finn Balor, And you've done everything to make him feel ordinary. You're to blame, not Finn Balor. No reason why NXT should be doing something right. And then once again, as always, Triple H creates and Vince McMahon kills. Perfect example is Finn Balor. I'm getting out of here, guys. Thank you so very much for all your supports. If you enjoyed what you've seen and heard here, please hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications as well. Follow me on social media at JDFromNY206. That is on Twitter and Instagram. Patreon.com/JDFromNY206 if you guys want to support the podcast via Patreon. Harrys.com/scripts. Make sure you guys go check out all the other videos this week. Raw, the nostalgia episode of Raw Reunion. Nothing more than a cover-up to the real issues. SmackDown Live, we got Randy Orton being chosen as Kofi Kingston's opponent. WWE Can't Sell Out MSG. We talk about Smackville countering AEW. All that on the Off the Script extra that I uploaded on Tuesday. Kofi Kingston, like I said, his Summerslam opponent is chosen in Randy Orton. Vince McMahon willing to risk the integrity of NXT to go head-to-head with AEW. Meaning moving them to Fox to go head-to-head with AEW. We'll see what happens. And then yesterday, off the script, man, Vince McMahon on AEW and his excuses during the WWE second quarter financials. I don't know how TNT will be able to put up with all of that, meaning the blood and guts. Misinformed, old, and senile is Vince McMahon. Make sure you guys go check all that stuff out. Link is in the annotation you see in the top right corner, and I'll link you guys down below as well in the comment section. And once again, guys, hit up Salrex, SRX, GFX on Twitter. DMs are open. If you guys need any work as far as logos, banners, flyers, thumbnails, album covers, mixtapes, t-shirt designs, YouTube channel revamps, etc. Hit them up and get your shit looking right. Salrex on Twitter, man. Thank you guys so very much. Again, hit that thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below. You see it, do it. I appreciate you, man. Thank you guys so very much. We'll see you right back here on Sunday. We got news on Sunday as far as Eric Bischoff and his first SmackDown, his first production meeting, how it was handled, what did he lead on SmackDown Live. Eric Bischoff has big plans for Daniel Bryan. Where was Daniel Bryan on SmackDown Live? Vince rewrote SmackDown Live 4 hours before they went live on the USA Network. And Dolph Ziggler's SummerSlam opponent is not who you think it is. We'll go over all that tomorrow on Off the Script. Thank you guys so very much, and I'll see you right back here on Sunday with more OTS. I'll talk to you later.